Most people spend their entire lives making excuses. They blame the economy, bad luck, or their circumstances. But here's the cold, hard truth. Nobody cares about your excuses. No one cares if you're tired, if you don't have enough time, or if life just isn't fair. The world only cares about results. And if you're not getting the results you want, it's because you're too busy explaining why you haven't gotten them. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why excuses are the silent killer of your success. I'll expose the dangerous mindset that keeps you stuck and why it's costing you your dreams. If you've ever wondered why some people seem to have it all while you're stuck spinning your wheels, it's time to face the brutal reality. They don't make excuses, and neither should you. You'll learn why the world doesn't care about your struggles. You'll see why working hard isn't enough if you're still making excuses. And I'll share a few secrets that successful people know that most people never even think about. By the end of this video, you'll understand the difference between those who rise and those who stay down, and you'll realize that it's never about the obstacles in front of you, but the excuses you tell yourself. If you're ready to stop lying to yourself, to stop justifying your failures, and to start taking massive action, then keep watching. The truth is simple. Work or die poor. There's no room for excuses. Your future is in your hands. Excuses are like quicksand. The more you make, the deeper you sink. Every time you give an excuse, you're not just explaining why you didn't succeed, you're reinforcing the belief that you're powerless to change your situation. Excuses keep you trapped in a comfort zone where nothing ever improves. They are the perfect defense mechanism to protect your ego, but at the same time, they rob you of progress. When you tell yourself that you don't have enough time, you're giving up your power. Time is the most abundant resource we have. Everyone, rich or poor, successful or struggling, has 24 hours in a day. It's not about the time you have, it's about how you choose to use it. People who succeed don't have magical time machines, they just stop wasting it. They cut out distractions and focus on what truly matters. So, when you say, I don't have enough time, you're only admitting that you haven't prioritized your goals. You've allowed yourself to be distracted by everything else. Another favorite excuse is the lack of resources. I don't have enough money, I don't have the right equipment, or I don't know the right people, are all excuses that put the blame on external factors. The reality? Successful people often start with nothing. They don't wait for perfect conditions, they build what they need along the way. When you say you don't have enough money, you're ignoring the power of resourcefulness. The internet is full of free tools, communities, and opportunities. The question isn't whether you have enough resources, whether you have the will to get creative and work with what you have. People also love to blame their circumstances. I wasn't born into the right family. I didn't have the same opportunities, or I didn't have the same advantages as others. Here's the hard truth. Nobody cares. Life isn't fair, and the sooner you accept that, the better. In fact, many of the most successful people had terrible circumstances to overcome. They didn't have everything handed to them, yet they managed to rise above their challenges. You could be sitting at home feeling sorry for yourself, waiting for a miracle, or you could start taking small steps every day towards your goals. The choice is yours. Blaming other people is another common excuse. My boss doesn't understand me. My coworkers don't support me. My family isn't behind me. Every time you point a finger at someone else, you're giving away your power. You're telling the world that your success depends on other people, and if they don't behave in a way that suits you, you're off the hook. That's a dangerous mindset. No one is responsible for your success except you. Waiting for the perfect team or supportive friends is a waste of time. You've got to be the one who shows up, even when no one else does. Then there's the excuse of fear. I'm scared to fail. I'm scared to try something new. What if I fall flat on my face? Fear is natural, but it's also paralyzing. Every successful person has experienced fear, but they don't let it control them. They face it, push through it, and keep going. Failure isn't the end, it's a lesson. Fear only holds power if you allow it to. The truth is, every failure is just a step closer to success. The more you fail, the more you learn. But if you keep avoiding failure by making excuses, you'll stay stuck in the same place, forever wondering what could have been. Excuses are the perfect way to protect your ego, but they do nothing for your growth. They give you a way out of facing reality. They allow you to avoid the discomfort of pushing yourself beyond your limits. But here's the catch. Comfort is the enemy of progress. If you keep wrapping yourself in excuses, you'll never have the courage to step outside of your comfort zone. Success isn't built by staying where you feel safe. It's built by stepping into the unknown, by taking risks, by failing and learning from those failures. When you make excuses, you create a cycle of self-deception. The more you justify your lack of action, the more you reinforce the belief that you can't do it. You start to believe that the world is against you, that you have no control, and that success is just for other people. The truth is, success doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care where you came from or how many obstacles you faced. It only cares about the work you put in and the actions you take every single day. You can sit there making excuses, hoping that things will magically change, or you can get to work and stop letting the world dictate your future. But understand this, if you choose to keep making excuses, you're choosing to stay stuck. And nobody cares about a person who chooses to stay stuck. Excuses have a way of holding you back in ways you don't even realize. Every time you make an excuse, you're placing a barrier between where you are and where you want to be. Growth requires discomfort, effort, and sometimes failure. But when you lean on excuses, you're avoiding all of that. Instead of pushing through challenges and learning from them, you're opting for the easy way out. And the easy way never leads to growth. Success doesn't come from avoiding hard work or making excuses for why something can't be done. Growth happens when you choose to face your problems head on, when you take full responsibility for your situation, and when you do what needs to be done regardless of how difficult or uncomfortable it feels. Every excuse you make pulls you further away from that growth. It's a tool you use to delay your progress, to convince yourself that you're not ready, or that you need more time, resources, or the perfect conditions. But the truth is, no conditions are ever perfect. The problem with relying on excuses is that it creates a false sense of security. When you make an excuse, you protect yourself from the reality of your situation. It feels safe to blame something outside of yourself, your job, your family, the economy, or even your own past mistakes. But all that does is keep you stuck in the same place. Growth comes from accepting your circumstances for what they are, not from blaming them for where you are. If you constantly tell yourself that you're a victim of circumstances, you'll never see how much power you have to change your life. Excuses keep you trapped in a cycle of inaction. You stay stuck in the same spot day after day because you've convinced yourself there's always a reason you can't move forward. What many don't realize is that growth doesn't happen without failure. Every successful person has failed more than once. They've faced rejection, disappointment, and setbacks. But instead of using these moments as an excuse to quit, they use them as a stepping stone to success. Each failure is a lesson, a chance to learn and adapt. When you make excuses, you deny yourself these lessons. You deny yourself the opportunity to get better. Instead of falling forward, you're simply standing still, waiting for the perfect moment that will never come. Excuses create a mindset of passivity. They train you to believe that success will somehow come to you without any effort. They convince you that there's an easier, less painful way to get what you want. But success doesn't work that way. It doesn't wait for you to feel ready or for the stars to align. It demands consistent, focused effort over time. Every time you make an excuse, you're postponing the work that will eventually bring you the results you seek. You're delaying the very growth that could change your life. When you stop making excuses, something incredible happens. You start to take ownership of your life. You realize that the only thing standing in your way is your own choices. The moment you stop blaming circumstances and start taking action is the moment your growth begins. Growth doesn't wait for the ideal situation. It happens when you choose to face your challenges, when you decide to push through the discomfort, and when you keep moving forward even when things aren't perfect. And the more you do this, the stronger and more resilient you become. Excuses also limit your potential. They box you into a narrow view of the world where everything seems out of your control. But the more you break free from those excuses, the more you realize just how much power you have. You begin to see opportunities instead of obstacles, solutions instead of problems. It's a mindset shift from scarcity to abundance, from helplessness to empowerment. When you let go of excuses, you open the door to unlimited possibilities. Suddenly, the things that once seemed impossible are now within reach. But it's not just about getting from point A to point B. Growth is a journey that shapes who you are along the way. Every challenge you face, every setback you encounter, helps mold you into the person who can achieve your goals. When you make excuses, you rob yourself of that growth. You stay stuck at the starting line, too afraid to move forward. Growth is about becoming better, stronger, and more capable with each step you take. But excuses are the chains that keep you from moving. The reality is simple. If you want to grow, you must be willing to confront your weaknesses and face the discomfort of change. You can't grow while hiding behind excuses. You can't build a better future while blaming your past. Growth requires courage, resilience, and the willingness to accept responsibility for your actions. When you stop making excuses, you stop waiting for the perfect moment, and you start creating it yourself. And that's when real progress begins. Hard work is often seen as the key to success, but here's the truth. Hard work alone won't guarantee that you'll make it. Many people work tirelessly every day and still don't see the results they want. But there's one thing that will guarantee failure, and that's excuses. Excuses are a direct path to stagnation, keeping you in the same place you started, while others who are willing to put in the work, without hesitation, move ahead. Hard work is necessary, but it's not enough if you're using excuses to shield yourself from the challenges that come with it. Excuses create a false sense of security. They provide an out, a reason for why things didn't go as planned. But they never change the fact that you didn't achieve the result you were after. Excuses don't fix problems, they just delay progress. They give you a way to justify your lack of success without addressing the real issues, the effort, strategy, and consistency required to reach your goals. Many people focus on working hard, but they don't understand that hard work needs direction. It's not just about putting in hours for the sake of hours. If you're working hard but still making excuses about why things aren't going your way, then you're not being productive. You're just being busy. It's easy to fall into the trap of feeling like hard work is enough, but without the right focus and mindset, all the hard work in the world won't matter. You can run in circles all day long, but without purpose, you won't move forward. Excuses prevent you from seeing the mistakes you make along the way. They allow you to hide behind comfort, avoiding the uncomfortable truth that your actions or lack of actions are the true reason for your failure. Success requires self-awareness and the ability to correct course when things aren't working. If you blame external factors or get caught up in justifying why something didn't happen, you're denying yourself the opportunity to improve. You're hiding from the fact that your approach, your decisions, and sometimes your efforts simply weren't enough to get the results you wanted. Hard work, when paired with the right mindset, is powerful. But there's a difference between working hard and working smart. You can put in all the effort in the world, but if your effort is constantly undermined by excuses, you'll never see the success you're working toward. Excuses tell you that things are out of your control, that circumstances are preventing you from getting ahead, or that you're just not lucky enough. This is exactly what keeps you in the cycle of failure. Success doesn't care about your circumstances. It only cares about what you do in spite of them. Let's be clear. Failure is part of the process. Everyone fails. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is simple: how they handle failure. Successful people don't make excuses. They learn from their mistakes and adapt. They don't wait for things to be perfect to get started. They take action and improve as they go. It's the people who make excuses who fail to learn from their setbacks. They'll point to everything around them, blaming luck, timing, or the people in their lives for why things didn't work out. The hard truth is that those excuses prevent growth. They prevent you from taking responsibility for your actions and learning from them. Without this learning, the cycle of failure continues, and success remains out of reach. Excuses guarantee failure because they trap you in a passive state. You tell yourself that there's no point in trying because things are stacked against you. But the fact is, people who succeed don't sit around waiting for things to line up perfectly. They act, they adjust, and they work tirelessly toward their goals despite setbacks. Excuses convince you to wait for the perfect moment that will never come. They hold you back from taking that first step, and once you're stuck in the waiting game, you'll never move forward. The reality is that hard work must be matched with action and a clear focus. Hard work doesn't mean much if you're not consistently moving forward and learning from your mistakes. It doesn't matter how hard you work, if you're constantly making excuses to avoid the real work needed to make progress. Every excuse you make keeps you stuck in the same spot. And the longer you stay there, the harder it becomes to break free. It's not the lack of hard work that holds people back. It's the excuses that make them believe their efforts are somehow not enough, or that their situation is too difficult to overcome. Excuses guarantee failure because they allow you to avoid the hard truth. The road to success is paved with setbacks, failures, and challenges. It's about learning to keep going even when things aren't working and not getting lost in the excuses that could easily derail you. Hard work alone can't guarantee success, but hard work combined with the determination to never make excuses will push you forward, no matter how difficult the journey might be. Success will always favor those who refuse to stop working, even when faced with failure, because they know that each failure is just another lesson on the path to success. Every story of success is filled with obstacles. The difference between those who make it and those who don't lies in how they handle those obstacles. Many successful people didn't start with advantages, but what they did have was resilience, determination, and the refusal to let excuses dictate their outcomes. These real-life stories show that no matter how difficult the situation, success isn't just for the lucky few. It's for those who choose to push through and keep moving forward. One of the most powerful examples of overcoming challenges is the story of someone who started with nothing, but turned their life around through sheer grit. Imagine growing up in a tough neighborhood, dealing with poverty, and facing every kind of hardship. Now imagine turning that into the driving force behind your success. Many individuals who rise to the top in business, sports, or entertainment come from situations where success seemed nearly impossible. They didn't have rich families, privileged backgrounds, or easy opportunities, but what they did have was a relentless attitude to overcome every hurdle life threw at them. One such story is that of someone who faced rejection after rejection early in their career. Despite being told they didn't have the right looks, the right background, or the right skills, they didn't stop. Instead of making excuses, they kept getting better. They worked harder. They honed their craft. Eventually, all the rejection they faced became the fuel to prove their critics wrong. And when the opportunity finally came, they were ready. That same person went on to achieve things that many thought were out of their reach. But it wasn't just about talent, it was about persistence, the refusal to accept failure as final, and the rejection of any excuse that could have slowed them down. Then there's the story of someone who was told their dream was impossible. They were told the industry they wanted to work in was too competitive, the market was too saturated, and their chances of success were slim to none. Yet, instead of folding under the pressure, they chose to use those challenges as motivation. They learned everything they could, networked with the right people, and put in countless hours of work. Despite multiple failures and setbacks, they kept going. Eventually, they carved out a space for themselves and built a successful business. They didn't make excuses about the competition or the tough conditions. They acknowledged the reality but chose to act in spite of it. Another powerful example is someone who started in a completely different field and faced countless setbacks. They were told time and time again that they were too old, too inexperienced, or too late to make a career change. But instead of making excuses about their past choices or the challenges ahead, they took action. They learned new skills, built new networks, and proved that it's never too late to change direction. It wasn't an easy road. There were moments of doubt, times when they felt like giving up, but they didn't. Today, they stand as an example of how it's possible to reinvent yourself, regardless of age or the obstacles in your path. There are countless others who started from nothing, faced intense hardship, and still found success. They didn't sit around waiting for circumstances to be perfect. They didn't wait for the right time or for someone to hand them a chance. They made their own opportunities. They faced criticism, rejection, and failure, but they kept moving forward. Every obstacle became just another reason to keep going, another lesson that propelled them closer to their goals. The common thread in all these stories is simple. They refused to let excuses take control. They could have easily blamed their lack of resources, their tough upbringing, or the challenges they faced. They could have let those things become their story. But instead, they used those obstacles as stepping stones. They didn't focus on what they didn't have. They focused on what they could do with what they had. They chose action over excuses and, in doing so, created opportunities where others saw none. What these examples show us is that success is not about avoiding challenges. It's about facing them head on and choosing to push forward despite them. Excuses are the easy way out. They let you stay comfortable in your failure. But growth, progress, and success come from refusing to let excuses control your life. These individuals prove that success doesn't care about the cards you're dealt. It only cares about your willingness to work hard, learn from your failures, and keep pushing toward your goals no matter how difficult the journey may seem. The lessons from their stories are clear. Excuses don't move you forward. Hard work, perseverance, and a mindset that refuses to give up are the true keys to success. Accountability is the foundation of true personal growth. It means taking full responsibility for everything in your life, your actions, your choices, and your results. Too many people fall into the trap of blaming everything but themselves for where they are in life. It's easy to point fingers at external factors, your job, your circumstances, your past, the people around you. But as long as you continue to do that, you'll remain stuck in a cycle of inaction. The moment you take responsibility for your life is the moment everything changes. It's uncomfortable, it's difficult, it requires courage, but it's also the only path that leads to lasting success. When you start holding yourself accountable, you stop giving excuses the power to control your decisions. You stop letting life happen to you and begin to take control of your future. Taking responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself for every failure or setback. It means acknowledging that you have the power to change your situation, no matter how difficult it may seem. Instead of waiting for someone or something to change, you realize that it's in your hands. This mindset shift is what separates those who rise from those who remain stagnant. When you take responsibility for your life, you stop waiting for perfect conditions. You understand that success doesn't come from avoiding difficulties, but from confronting them head on and using them as fuel for your growth. The key to accountability is understanding that you are the one in control of your actions. No one else can make decisions for you. No one else can work for you. The blame game only keeps you in a passive state, where you're constantly looking for reasons outside of yourself to justify why things aren't working. But that mindset only leads to more excuses and less action. When you truly take accountability, you realize that your success or failure is a direct result of the choices you make every single day. This realization is both liberating and empowering. It means you have the ability to change your path at any moment. Some people wait for motivation to strike before taking action. They think that motivation is something that just appears when the time is right. But motivation doesn't show up on its own. It's built through consistent action and the commitment to keep going even when things get tough. Accountability forces you to stay committed to the process whether or not you feel like it. It means showing up every day, doing the work, and taking ownership of the effort you put in. The more you commit to being accountable, the more you build the habit of discipline. This discipline becomes the driving force behind your success, pushing you to keep moving even when things aren't easy. Being accountable doesn't just mean showing up for yourself. It also means being honest about your shortcomings. Everyone has areas where they can improve, but too often people are unwilling to acknowledge their weaknesses. Instead of making excuses for why they haven't done something, they point to the circumstances around them or claim that it's just not the right time. Accountability means facing the truth about where you're lacking and making the necessary changes. It's about setting realistic goals, measuring your progress, and being honest with yourself when you're not meeting your own standards. This self-honesty creates growth, because you can only improve if you're willing to see where you need to do better. When you take responsibility for your actions, you also stop waiting for external validation. Too many people make decisions based on what others think of them, but this only leads to confusion and frustration. Accountability allows you to make decisions based on what you truly want and need. You no longer rely on other people's opinions to determine your worth or your path. Instead, you take charge of your own narrative. Your success is no longer tied to the approval of others. You become your own driving force, pushing forward toward your goals, regardless of external validation. One of the most powerful aspects of accountability is the clarity it brings. When you stop deflecting blame, you see things for what they really are. You stop lying to yourself about why things aren't working. You stop convincing yourself that the world owes you something. Instead, you start to identify where you're falling short and what you need to change. This clarity allows you to take focused, purposeful action. It eliminates the distractions that keep you from moving forward and helps you see exactly what you need to do to improve. Accountability also means holding yourself to higher standards. It means demanding the best from yourself, even when it's hard. People who take responsibility for their lives don't settle for mediocrity. They understand that success requires effort, discipline, and sometimes sacrifices. They don't let themselves off the hook when things get tough. Instead, they embrace the discomfort because they know that growth comes from pushing through. The more you practice accountability, the more you develop a mindset that refuses to settle. You begin to see challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles, knowing that overcoming them will make you stronger, wiser, and more capable. Taking responsibility for your life is the most powerful thing you can do. It forces you to own your decisions, accept the consequences, and take control of your future. The moment you choose to be accountable, you stop waiting for things to change and start making the changes yourself. The excuses fade, the limitations disappear, and you begin to see just how much power you truly have. When you take full responsibility for your life, you unlock the ability to shape your own destiny. It's not easy, but it's the only way to create lasting success. It's easy to get caught up in the cycle of excuses, blaming everything and everyone around you for where you are in life. The truth is, life doesn't owe you anything. Success isn't handed to you, and there's no magic formula that guarantees it. What it takes is hard work, resilience, and the willingness to stop making excuses and start taking responsibility. When you stop letting excuses control your decisions and instead choose to own your actions, you take back the power to change your life. The reality is that everyone faces challenges. No one is exempt from adversity. But the people who succeed are the ones who refuse to let those challenges define them. They push through the difficulties, learning from their failures, and using every setback as a stepping stone. It's not the obstacles that stop you, it's how you respond to them. And that response comes down to accountability. When you take responsibility for your actions and your outcomes, you take the first step toward controlling your future. Let's be clear, success isn't easy. It's not something that comes overnight. It requires consistency, discipline, and the willingness to learn from every mistake. The people who achieve greatness are the ones who show up every single day, no matter how hard it gets. They're not waiting for someone to give them permission to succeed. They know that success is something they have to fight for, something they have to work for. It's about putting in the effort even when it feels like you're not making progress. And when you stop making excuses, you open the door to real meaningful growth. You stop waiting for the perfect moment to act and start taking action no matter the circumstances. Excuses are the enemy of progress. Every time you make an excuse, you put a barrier between where you are and where you want to be. It's like a chain around your ankle, keeping you stuck in the same place. But when you stop making excuses, you free yourself to move forward. You start seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. You begin to take action instead of letting fear or doubt hold you back. And with each step forward, you grow stronger, more capable, and more confident in your ability to create the life you want. Now, accountability is a key factor in that progress. When you take full responsibility for where you are, you stop waiting for things to change around you. You realize that the power to transform your life is in your hands. The circumstances may not always be ideal, but that's not what matters. What matters is how you respond. You stop blaming external factors and start focusing on what you can control. When you take responsibility, you stop being a victim of your situation and become the creator of your own destiny. You realize that success is not about avoiding failure, but about how you learn from those failures and keep pushing forward. Every time you hold yourself accountable, you're taking control of your own success. Let's face it, life isn't going to hand you success on a silver platter. No one is going to come and solve your problems for you. The world doesn't owe you anything, but you have everything you need to make it on your own. You just have to stop making excuses, stop waiting for the perfect moment, and start taking responsibility for your actions. The moment you stop blaming the world for your problems and take full ownership of your life is the moment you begin to take charge of your future. You become the author of your own story, writing your own success, one decision at a time. But it's not enough to just stop making excuses. You have to take consistent action. Success doesn't come from a single act of brilliance. It comes from putting in the work day in and day out. It comes from showing up even when you don't feel like it. It comes from facing failure, learning from it, and using it as fuel to keep going. The road to success is not a straight line. It's filled with twists and turns, ups and downs. But as long as you stay committed, keep moving forward, and take responsibility for your journey, you will get closer and closer to where you want to be. And the best part, you don't have to do it alone. Every step you take toward accountability and personal growth is a step toward a better future. It's about surrounding yourself with a mindset of growth, learning from others, and embracing the challenges that come with change. The people who succeed are the ones who don't let fear or excuses hold them back. They are the ones who keep going, even when it's tough. And you can be one of those people. So, what's the takeaway from all this? Stop letting excuses rule your life. Stop waiting for things to be perfect. Take responsibility for where you are and take action. Every single day is an opportunity to move closer to your goals. It's time to stop waiting for permission to succeed. The only permission you need is the willingness to take action, put in the effort, and keep going, no matter how hard it gets. Success isn't reserved for the lucky few. It's for the people who are willing to work for it. It's for the ones who take responsibility, face challenges head on, and refuse to let excuses stop them. So, take charge of your life, make the decision to stop making excuses, and take responsibility for the results you want to create. Your future is in your hands. The power to shape your destiny is with you right now in this moment. If you found value in this video and feel motivated to take action, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We're here to inspire and empower you to take the next step toward achieving your goals. Stay tuned for more content that will push you to grow, succeed, and break free from the chains of excuses. If you're ready to change your life, we're here to help you make it happen. So, don't wait. Take action today. Like this video, subscribe, and join us on the journey to success.